Alright, so once again I league started Death's Oath for the 3.19 Lake of Kalandra League. It was a pretty easy league starter for me, as I'm very accustomed to the gameplay and the style of this character. I've also league started this last league, and when I league start I use Poisonous Concoction, and it was very easy for me because I kind of know how to make Poisonous Concoction work very easily in the acts. You just need a 4-link basically and you're good to go through Act 1 to 10. Well, you do pick it up after Act 1, I guess, but yeah, still. So yeah, it was absolutely no problem for me doing Act 1 to 10 on this build. It was a little bit annoying in Act 1 using like Frost Bomb and stuff like that, but as soon as I got through Act 1 and someone was able to give me a Poisonous Concoction gem, then I started absolutely blasting everything, and I had a lot of fun leveling this build through the acts as well. And as soon as I got to maps and I got my Death's Oath, everything started going really smooth as well. I had no problems going straight into white maps and even straight into yellow maps as well. I kept investing a little bit, got some smaller pieces here and there, like got a large cluster jewel, and I got a 6-link bow that I just used an essence on to get +2 bow gems. And all of a sudden I was in red maps and I was absolutely blasting, only with like 5 sockets on my Death's Oath, but it was not a problem. So it was a fantastic league start for me, and I've been having a lot of fun, even though there's been some major issues this league with a lot of things in terms of loot, in terms of difficulty of arch nemesis monsters. And I know a lot of people are very upset about that, but it's actually been going really good for me. I had no problems whatsoever with arch nemesis monsters on this build, because this build handles arch nemesis monsters very well. They die very fast if there are any mobs around them due to Profane Bloom just exploding everything, dealing damage around them to like arch nemesis monsters that are very tanky, so they die very fast as well. And then I can damage while I'm running around. I can dodge stuff, and I can just put Caustic Ground on. I have my Death's Oath aura on, and I just run around the enemy until it dies. So it's very simple for me to play this build. And I've had absolutely no issues this league at all with anything really. But yeah, I can understand other people have issues with some other builds. So yeah, we're just going to leave it at that. It's been good for me, and I've been having fun at least. Now, the Lake of Kalandra mechanic has been quite interesting for me. I do think it's very fun, and it's been quite easy to do on my character. It depends on what tiles you have and what difficulty you have as well, obviously. I noticed that when you get to monster level 83 and you get like difficulty 10 or higher tiles, the monsters definitely start getting a little bit tankier. I haven't really had any problems yet, but I've not gone above difficulty 13. So maybe like difficulty 15 is where my character is going to be able to go before it starts really struggling. I'm yet to see though. But I've been enjoying the league mechanic. I hope they buff it more though, because it's quite unrewarding, especially when you get to monster level 83 lakes right now. It should be scaling a lot more in terms of rewards, because the difficulty gets quite gnarly, like I said, when you get to like difficulty 10 or higher on a monster level 83 lake. The monsters start hitting quite hard, and they have a lot of HP, so they're kind of tough to kill. Really good using Profane Bloom for that though, because if you're able to kill one enemy, everything is just going to explode. So that's really fantastic. But it needs still to be said though that like it does get quite difficult to kill some rare monsters or some of these like bosses or mini bosses, whatever you want to call it. And not being rewarded at all feels really weird for that, and mapping feels a lot better than Lake does right now. So I've just been saving up a lot of my tablets right now. I'm gonna run them when they actually buff it more. But I have been trying out the Lake Kalandra mechanic a little bit just to see how it is, and I do think it's fun at least. So, the character is basically the same as it's been in the past couple of leagues. The only change that I made is that I swapped out my normal gloves for a pair of Asna's Gentle Touch gloves. These gloves curse enemies with temporal chains on hit with 40% increased effect. And basically, as soon as your Death's Oath aura hits an enemy, they will then be cursed with temporal chains through the gloves, which means that we can drop our Temporal Chains aura ourselves, we can free up some mana reservation, and we can actually put in Determination if we make some small changes to the build. Now, Determination in our build is going to make us a lot more tankier. We have a lot of evasion, which makes so enemies mostly don't even hit us to begin with, but if they do hit us now, we have a lot of armor, so we can mitigate that damage as well, because we have evasion, we have armor, that takes care of all the physical stuff, and then we have so much mitigation to elemental damage as well through our Divine Flesh jewel, our Glorious Vanity jewel here. And if you later invest into Flame and Flesh jewels where you get Bastion of Elements, you mitigate even more elemental damage and you become an absolute beast. Now, another great thing about these gloves is that enemies near corpses affected by your curses are blinded. Enemies killed near corpses affected by your curses explode, dealing 3% of their life as physical damage. These gloves basically gives us more explosions of top of our Profane Bloom, and this actually helps our clearing quite a bit. So you can notice when you have the gloves that everything pops just a tiny more and everything just feels a little bit better in terms of clearing. Now, one thing that is very important to specify here is that since we lose the gloves, we lose resists and we lose some single target damage through that as well. So these gloves are only for clearing and only for making your character tankier, where you can put in Determination as well. And that's basically why I'm trying out these gloves this league, because I wanted to see like how much better is the clear and how much tankier is my build and all that stuff. So far, it's actually been a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of the gloves. Definitely something I'll do in the future of this build as well, is that eventually when I have the investment and I have all the other pieces of my gear, I can put on the gloves and I can just clear everything faster and better than I did before. But keep in mind, single target gets worse, but this is a build that focuses heavily on mapping and clearing. This is not a build for single target anyway, so you shouldn't really be too concerned with that if you're playing with these gloves. The rest of the gear is basically the same here. We have plus gem level of bows and chaos damage over time multiplier, and chaos damage over time multiplier with attack skills and some resist on the quiver, and we have our Verdus Veil with the Enlighten and the same auras. It's just that now I put Defiance Banner in my gloves and I put Determination in here with the Enlighten support, which will soon be level 5 to give me even more mana, which is pretty nice. But everything else is basically the same. We have Stygian Vice and we have boots and we have the magic ring in the right slot because of Verdus Veil, and we have Impressions with Sovereignty, and we have a normal rare ring in our left slot, and we just have the Death Soat and everything. So and basically the gems are also all the same, so there's nothing really you have to worry about that. The only thing is that because I have Determination here, soon my Enlightenment will be level 5, so that will free up some more mana, but I like to have a decent amount of mana because casting Caustic Arrow is quite expensive in terms of mana, and I want to be able to spam it sometimes, and sometimes it can be a little bit annoying because like you run out of mana and then you can't shoot it. So I want to have a decent amount of mana pool going into maps and going into bosses. So in order to free up even more mana reservation, I'm using a small cluster jewel with Uncompromising, which gives Determination has 50% increased mana reservation efficiency. This is basically a small cluster jewel that gives Uncompromising, so I can reserve even more of the Determination mana basically, and I can use all these auras to make my character really tanky and have a lot of damage. I have Determination, Grace, Defiance Banner, Malevolence, and Despair, so the damage is there and the tankiness is there, and with the gloves the clearing is even better than it was before, and I absolutely love this build. So much fun. I have an Inspired Learning this league, I have my Transcendent Mind Jewel, I have my Glorious Vanity, I have everything set up. I've been farming like a maniac, I've been making so much money. I absolutely stack this character to the brim with all my Awakened gems and everything that I want, level 21, 20 gems as well. And I even started investing into a new build that I put about 10 divines into, and he's starting to become quite of a single target beast, so I can make up for that if I want to kill bosses. And I already even started a third build, a Fire and Ice Golemancer. Even though it's only been a week of the league, I just have so much money, and this character has been being so good and so much fun, and I'm just loving every minute of it, you know, doing Rusted Scarabs, Breach Scarabs, and Legion Scarabs, and Cartography, and Shaper, or Elder, whatever I feel like adding, or Ambush Scarabs, And yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. I'm really loving this build. Once again, my third league playing it. I league started this build as well. Had no problems with it. And yeah, I'm probably going to play this character next league, to be honest. Thank you very much for watching the video, and remember to be an absolute legend by dropping the subscription here on YouTube, or also following on Twitch over at twitch.tv/burgerbrush. And I hope that you have a fantastic night or day.